Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to another video on the channel. And it's not just any video. Today we're starting our group previews for the World Cup 2022. Each group in the World Cup, we're going to do a preview video looking at each team's form, tactical analysis, and key players to target for your World Cup Fantasy League teams. If you haven't seen the first video introducing the FIFA World Cup Fantasy League game and how to play, link is in the description below. And quick thank you for all the support on the channel. Got even more subscribers from last week's videos, and it's just so cool. Hopefully, still trying to get to 50 subscribers before Christmas. Hopefully, we can do it. But we're just doing this just as a bit of fun, just to try and build a channel. So the support is really appreciated. And let's get into it. So we're starting today's video with Group A, and the group is as follows. So we've got our initial thoughts on the group. It's Netherlands to lose on paper, but as we're going to delve into the teams a bit more, we'll hopefully find out that actually it's maybe not as clear cut as it seems, especially for second place. The match days are as follows, and we start with Ecuador versus Qatar, and then followed by Netherlands versus Senegal. Then we're going on to match day two, where Netherlands play Ecuador, Senegal play Qatar, and then it could go down to the final match day. That Ecuador Senegal game could really be a group decider for who qualifies. So looking at Qatar, and first of all, we've got some key information coming up on the screen there. They've had no qualifying campaign. Obviously, as hosts, the form is quite limited to go on. All the other teams have had qualifying campaigns, and you can analyse the fixtures and results from those games, but not so much with Qatar. Although they did win the Asian Cup in 2019, but only one win in their last 7 games. The whole squad does play in Qatar, so talk about home advantage. Although that could come back on them because they've not necessarily got that experience playing against more higher level opposition. We've got a current world ranking of 50th, one of the lowest, I think the third lowest in the whole World Cup. And that comes along with most hosts, to be honest, though, as well, because they haven't necessarily had those competitive games to boost their world ranking. Bit of tactical analysis here. They tend to play with a five back and really sort of pack the penalty box, which could mean reduced shots in the box for opponents, limiting the opposition to more long ranges, which, from a defensive point of view for Fantasy League, looks pretty good if you're looking at getting a defender in from Qatar or maybe even the keeper. They're happy to concede possession and hit teams on the counter. I think even when they won the Asian Cup in 2019, they had less possession, and that is more of a common theme with Qatar. Is they're more than happy for the opposition to have that possession and sit back, which might reduce their attacking chances because against better teams like the Netherlands, how many chances are they going to get to counter on them? If it's just Netherlands attacking for 90 minutes with the ball, you can't really look to get many returns from players from Qatar. But we have got 3 potential players here, and we start with Almoez Ali. Only 4.5 million, but he is absolutely banging in the goals for Qatar. He's got 85 caps, he's got 42 goals, and he was the top scorer in the 2019 Asian Cup, which included teams like Saudi Arabia and Japan, who he did score against. So he has got that proven record. It's just whether Qatar are going to create enough chances for him to capitalise on them. But if anyone is going to score for them, it is likely to be this guy. And at 4.5 million, not too bad for a bit of a bench player, rotation player to enable to get more expensive players in. Next up, we've got the goalkeeper Saad Al Sheib, only 4 million, even cheaper than Ali there, and he's got over 80 caps. He is very experienced, and with the focus on defence, like we said before, it could be that he gets plenty of save points if teams are reduced to shooting from distance. Finally, we've got Homer Al Amin. He's so new in this squad, he hasn't actually got a price yet in Fantasy League. He was a late inclusion at fullback, but he could get forward if he's playing at wing back in the five-person defence playing for Qatar. He could be one of those players that could get the crosses into the box. Next up, we've got Ecuador, and we've got the groups there from not only the World Cup qualifiers but the latest Copa America, and it's a bit of a tale of two teams, really. As you can see, is that they did quite well in the World Cup qualifying, not so well in the Copa America, but they are cleared to play after this Castillo controversy. So this player Brian Castillo, he played I think 8 out of the 18 qualifiers for Ecuador, but he wasn't actually officially registered. There was some error with his registration, and teams like Chile really launched a big campaign to try and get Ecuador suspended from the World Cup. But it's all cleared now, and they're good to play, so they are there. So we can analyse these players. So they have kept clean sheets in their last 3 friendlies, but they also haven't scored either. The last 3 games they've played in the last couple of months have all been 0-0. So they're not a team that are likely to absolutely break the net on a consistent basis. Um, but they are quite solid defensively. They did win the South America Under-20 Championship, and they came third in the Under-20 World Cup, both in 2019. So 3 years on from these competitions, these players have started breaking into this Ecuador first team. So they have got some experience, but they are largely full of energetic young players that are keen to make their mark on the world stage. Some tactical analysis here. They're defensively very solid. They don't tend to concede many chances, but at the same time, they don't create that many either. They've got quite a pragmatic style. So, think Mourinho or Conte, that sort of safety first, sort of keeping everyone solid, less risk taking. So, if you are planning on getting some potential players in, you might want to start looking at the defence first. And we've got Pervis Estupinan here at 4.5 million. And those of you that play Fantasy Premier League, you will know that he plays for Brighton, and he's got a good history with Villarreal as in terms of playing in European competitions as well before he moved to Brighton. And he does get forward a lot and creates a lot of attacking opportunities for the Ecuador team as well. Next, we've got Moises Caicedo, and he is another Brighton player, box to box midfielder. He provided the most assists in qualifying for Ecuador. He got 4 assists and also chipped in with 2 goals. A little bit more expensive, and if you're not 100% sold on the Ecuador attack, maybe going to leave him, but worth a shout as well. And then Piero Hincapié here at 4.5 million. He is an up-and-coming defender playing for Bayer Leverkusen in Germany. And he covers a lot of ground. He's very quick and athletic, and he has to do that because Estupinan is usually legging it down the left-hand side, trying to create chances. So he does have to cover a little bit for there, but he's got the physical tools to do so, and it does mean that Ecuador is still able to keep that shape. Although he is only 20 years old, um, just like Casado. So this team are very young and inexperienced, and it's whether their first game is against Qatar, and that could be key to their tournament, really. Um, whether they're going to get stuck in the bright lights of the world stage, or whether they're going to come through it, and from that point on could gain momentum. But Hincapié has also already got a goal for Ecuador and does provide a good aerial threat. Next up, we've got Senegal, and we've got their African Cup of Nations, sorry, their Africa qualifying campaign there for the World Cup. And they've got some key information coming up, and we've got a Mane injury. So in his latest game for Bayern Munich, Mane did come off with a leg injury. I think he took a knock on his fibula in one of his legs, but he has still been included for the World Cup squad. And to be honest, I think if there was any chance of Mane being fit at all in the World Cup and you were Senegal, you would take him. Even if it's for the later group stages, maybe the knockout stages, it's worth the risk, especially as he's such an important player for the national team. Uh, they are current African nations champions. They did beat Senegal. Sorry, they did beat Egypt in the final. Did Senegal, and it was pretty close. And they also beat Egypt 3-1 on pens to qualify for the World Cup as well. So they're just getting over the line at the moment as Senegal, but they have got some really impactful players. The last time they got to the World Cup was in 2002. It was also in Asia, in Japan and South Korea, and they got to the quarterfinals. So, if you are a superstitious sort of person, you might think that hang on a minute, Senegal could do the same again here. Tactical analysis for Senegal. They play 4-3-3. They do have a reliance on the holding midfielder and their wide players, especially if someone like Mane is playing wide. He can also play through the middle. Um, but that is where they're going to go with. And they are compact down the middle. They don't like to take too many risks, but they will take teams on if they feel like they need to. And they have got quite an explosive front line who will take on individual players as well. So potential players for Senegal, and we obviously start with Sadio Mane, reasonably priced to be honest at 8.5 million. Um, I do think that he's someone who he's in good form for Bayern. He's got 6 goals in his last 14 games, and he's also averaging 1 in 3 for Senegal in his whole career. He's aged 30 at the moment, so this is his main chance to have that impact on the world stage. Um, Although the group does look to be quite tight at the moment, and whether he's going to be fit for the very first game is a maybe. Although you might say his chances against Netherlands in the first game might be limited, so maybe he's someone to look for later in the group. Next up, we've got Edouard Mendy, 5.5 million. And although he's got a shaky form for Chelsea recently, he is a different player for Senegal, quite commanding, and he's a definite shout for a penalty save or two. And we all know if you looked in the previous video, you get a huge bonus of points for saving a penalty in a game. Finally, we've got Abdou Diallo, only 4 million, and he could be good value if he's a starter. It's currently up in the air as to whether he will start, but he is an aerial threat as well. He's already got 2 goals in only 18 appearances. And it is interesting to note that a Senegal player um, has always appeared in the Champions League final each year since 2018. So that includes Mane, Diallo, and Edouard Mendy. So, and their manager, Aliou Cisse, has been in charge since 2015. So, unlike some other countries that we're going to cover, Senegal have much needed stability. And Cisse was previous Senegal captain, and I believe did play in that 2002 World Cup um, competition where they got to the quarterfinals. So finally, we've got the Netherlands, and we've got their World Cup qualifying group there and their Nations League. And these guys are one of the informed teams going into the World Cup. Um, Van Gaal also has previous history. He was in charge when Netherlands came third in 2014. Then he left and he's come back in again. So he does know what to do, which is quite handy because a lot of these Netherlands players, they've not got previous World Cup history, and they are unbeaten since being knocked out of Euro 2020. So they also beat Belgium twice in the Nations League. So you would say Belgium, quite a good team, probably well fancied in the World Cup. But Netherlands have not only beaten them once, they've done them over twice in a competition that does matter, not just international friendlies. So some tactical analysis here. They've been playing a three-back recently, allowing more players to push forward, and they're going to be some of our players that we're going to look at in a second. And the defensive quality allows for a more attacking style. So you've got players like Van Dijk, De Ligt, and De Vrij in centre back for the Netherlands. They are very good individual players and a very solid unit. And that does allow players like Denzel Dumfries to attack forward. Now, Denzel Dumfries has already got 2 assists and a goal in 14 Serie A games, although his expected goals were 2.3 and his expected assists were 3.2. So that suggests it could have been more, and he's actually been quite unlucky with his attacking returns. So that is somebody you could target. 6 million is quite pricey, but I do think he is worth it because Netherlands probably are going to keep some clean sheets in this tournament, and he is a proven attacking threat down the right. Moving on, we've got Frankie de Jong. 8.5 million is quite expensive for someone that's not scored, I think, in his last 33 international games, but he is more of a midfield playmaker. Think of someone like Xavi back in the past for Spain, who is more than likely going to be pulling the strings in midfield and getting those assists and involved in those attacks. And then the final player we've got here is Memphis Depay. Now, he has 21 goals in his last 20 international appearances. That's more than players like Mbappe, Kane, Lewandowski, Haaland, and even Messi. I think he is amazing value at 8.5 million in the group that he is in, and he could be one of the front runners for the World Cup Golden Boot. So let me know what you think. Have I missed any players here that you think they're good shouts for your potential fantasy league teams? Please like and subscribe the video. Let's get that out there. Hopefully, giving people more information if they're hoping to plan to play the World Cup Fantasy League. And I will see you in the next one, hopefully tomorrow, as we try and get one of these videos out every day this week.